So I think within A.I.S.E, we are also a science institute. So for us, it's fundamental that all pieces of legislation are based on robust science. And I think that's the basis of everything. And I think in the European Commission that takes the initiative to propose legislation, they always make an impact assessment. So that means they look at, is legislation good for the environment, good for citizens, good for consumers, but also good for business. They also look whether the new legislation is proportional or not. And in the case of the detergents regulation, which is now being discussed, and I think this is the core of everything, because if tomorrow the detergents regulation goes wrong, then we all have a collective problem here. Now, I will make that very concrete with one example. So the Commission in its proposal said you can still use phosphorus and phosphate compounds, but with a certain threshold. That threshold has been established by the European Commission based on an impact assessment. And in the impact assessment, it stated that only if you look at the emissions or the release of phosphate into the environment, detergents are responsible for just 1%. And therefore, the Commission believes that those thresholds should not be changed. Now, suddenly we are in the legislative process and we see that some members of the parliament, some member states, change the limits. Now, what is the impact of that? Well, it means that certain formulations, of detergents cannot be used anymore. Sometimes we have formulations specifically for hygiene in the hospitals, they may disappear. Another phenomena is that if you have stricter limits, you may dilute the detergent. So you may add more water. And that has an impact on the quality of the product. It leads to more packaging because you have bigger volumes. It leads to more transportation and also a bigger CO2 emission, a bigger footprint. So it's really fundamental that when we make amendments to legislation, that it's always based on science, because otherwise you may have unintended consequences.